posting this other person. Like, why are you simping for this? Like, it is immature. It's borderline racist. Surely you could call it a microaggression to say, I don't care how you want your name pronounced, right? This is a lady who will melt down for months on end about being called a birthing person, having to check a box that says, man, woman, non-binary or whatever. Oh, that's all crazy discrimination. But wanting somebody to pronounce your name correctly, oh, that's a bridge too far. Like, that's ridiculous. Your name is part of your identity. How people say it shows whether or not they respect you, right? Like, if I constantly called him Gavon over here, you would be like, hey, like, this dude's name's Gavin. And if I was like, well, I meant that, dude, chill. Oh my God, why are you being such a cancel culture warrior? You loser. Like, obviously I just made a petty mistake, and then 2 weeks later I call him Gavon again. You're gonna be like, well, it's a really hard name to get right. Like, not really. Kamala's not that hard of a name to get right either. Kamala Harris.
Yeah, it's really not that hard. I think it's funny, and it's like, well, different people say it different ways. I'm like, yeah, some people mispronounce it. There's only one way to pronounce it, which is the way it is pronounced. And again, it's not the biggest issue in the world. I think some people, if they're melting down about it every time they hear someone say it wrong and
walks off of the
Kamala/Kamalas in like music and movies, and Nancy Mace is like, okay, well, in this one it's that one, and this one it's this, and maybe Miss Marvel. And I don't think she pays attention to Miss Marvel. I think she's just doing it on purpose. Again, it doesn't matter compared to all the other things Nancy Mace does. It's the least important thing, but
focus on those things. Nancy Mace, like, she has power in the United States Congress.
Don't focus on anything. Talk about everything. That's what we do.
Look, I just feel like there's way too many hucksters in cable television who make a nice living by going around calling all sorts of people racist, which tears the country apart and is not helpful. Okay, Michael Eric Dyson happens to be one of those people. He gets under my...
This is what you can tell. I don't know what happens to Anna, but I think that she just walks off of the TYT set and just walks right into like a conservative bubble. And so then everybody else is trying to constantly reel her back in on the Young Turks network, even when it should be just a no-brainer story. Like, sometimes I go into a story and I'm like, oh, I might think a little bit differently than Gavin about this, right? Like, I might have to debate a little bit. We might fall down on slightly different positions on this. That'll be fun. We'll get to push back and fence a little bit. But there are other times where, like, if I say something and then Gavin's like, wait, what are you talking about? And I'm like, what? Like, that would be crazy, right? Like, if I was like, what do we need to do? Immigrants built this country, and Gavin's like, we need to get all these immigrants out of this country. That's what we need to. I'd be like, what are you talking about? We don't, what? Like, I wouldn't be expecting to have to go in there, and that's on a much dialed down note. That's exactly what happens to John Iadarola on this, and happens to him pretty regularly, I feel like, where he's just trying to be out here. He's like, dude, this is a progressive news show. Like, what do you think this is? Why are we pretending we're talking to like an audience of people who watch the Daily Wire? Like, this is crazy. Yeah, dude, she is pandering to the Adam and Sitch audience. That's it's the enlightened centrists.
100%, bro. 100%. Yeah, absolutely. And again, like, bro, I get it. It can be annoying to hear people on the mainstream news or on social media or whatever calling right-wingers racist constantly. But guess what? It's not really our fault. The right-wingers are constantly being racist. It's not us talking about the eating the dogs, the eating the cats. That's not us. That's the Republican Party. Their entire freaking campaign for president is based around racism. Mass deportations is the #1 policy that Donald Trump is promising. Just like build a wall was his 2016 promise, now it's mass deportations. Their entire political project is rooted in racism and anti-immigrant xenophobia, bigotry. It's dominated the news cycle. He said Kamala Harris turned black after originally being Indian. Again, it's not our fault that we have to talk about this stuff. Do you think that Zach or I or most people in media want to be talking about these disgusting racist talking constantly?
For sure, she's a white supremacist. She's perpetuating white supremacism. Like,
I'm just saying she has herself had this exact same thing.
It really is.
It's deranged. I feel so bad for John, and
at least he gets to look sane by comparison and like a normal, empathetic person.
Lefty.
Yeah, and an actual progressive person, yeah.
Perpetuating white supremacism, like...
I'm just saying she has herself had this exact same thing multiple times.
Okay.
It seems willful at that point.
All right, it's willful, John. It's willful. Let's throw her in prison, everybody.
It's not. I don't want to throw her in prison.
I'm just
maybe
sick
for a weekend.
of this conversation.
A 3-day weekend in prison.
Okay, 3-day weekend.
I'm just saying, when people are she's doing it intentionally to send a signal to some people, either to anger
started
us
it by
or
saying-
because she knows racists like
She
it.
started her statement on that CNN panel by saying Kamala, and then thought she said it wrong, so then she said Kamala, and then before she could say anything else,
I didn't see the clip, so
everyone
maybe you're right.
jumped on her.
Maybe you're right.
Everyone jumped on her.
Again, I agree with you that like randomly calling people.
Help bolster that.
Like, I would kind of agree to get closer to it, and that's what you should do. Anna Kasparian, she's so easily triggered. Be like a white socialist Scandinavian.
Match found. They have no idea how hard they say.
Oh.